Chronicles free agent sign 'em or sayonara for the offense for the Carolina Panthers. We're kind of breaking it all down. We've done a couple of big players. Let's keep moving on. And I think if we are going to say anybody that the next guy that should be running down the page, running down the field to sign that contract, but he's a free agent this year, and that is Ted Ginn Jr. He is puzzling, Joey. To me, Ted Ginn is a puzzling player and piece of the Carolina Panthers. What do you think about Ted Ginn Jr. as a free agent this year?
I think with Ginn, he is he's a boom or bust kind of guy. He can make some big spectacular plays, but as we all know, you you've made it clear so often this season, Stone Hands Ginn makes an
Yeah,
appearance
uh,
regularly.
he does make it regularly, and I think that Panther fans probably, um, and I'm here to be the voice of reason, Panther Nation, on this, is that yes, Ted Ginn made some key plays late in the season, but when you really look at him as a receiver and a hands catcher, those descriptions really shouldn't be in Ted Ginn's. Well, certainly hands catcher. That dude ain't no hands catcher. He's a body snatcher, and so uh, it's the truth is that the dude should be so much more. That's what I think that I get mad about is with the Stonehands, Ted Stonehand Jr. is that the dude should be more. And he made some big ones. He plucked a ball out of like a 30-mile-an-hour ball out, or 30, like a 60-mile-an-hour ball out of the sky with in the game against San Francisco, and you're like, I mean, it was a big play and important to what the team was doing at the moment. He made the catch in the New England game for and made a touchdown there. So he's been able to make some catches enough, I think, to mask with many Panther fans. Just really how he's not handsy at all. Uh, you know who he reminds me a little bit of?
Who's
Darius
that?
Haywood Bay.
Oh yeah, all speed.
All speed. The dudes can run. So that's why I said running down the field to get the contract is Ted Ginn should be so much more, Joey. And why is that? Did you see him get behind the defense this year at all as a receiver?
Not really.
I can't even
No.
remember one play, but I can remember three times he got behind the defense and dropped the ball
Right.
30 yards down. Miami game twice in the
Right.
Miami game. So this guy that's why he's puzzling to me, Joey. But where he does, and here's another thing that's able to mask that kind of inability just to catch everything in his vicinity or anything in his vicinity, is he is clutch on special teams. How much has he revived? How big of a part has he been a revival of the Panthers special teams?
I think he is the reason for the revival of the Panthers special teams. His
At least in the
speed,
return game.
yeah, oh for sure in the return game. His speed is, I mean, he's one of the fastest guys in the league, and that says it all right there. On punt returns, he's dangerous. He's
Yeah,
a threat to take it to the house every time.
and I think that right there assures him of 20 yards or the 12. I think he has a 12-yard return
Right.
average. The reason that he's able to do that is that speed is that X factor that they have to always be a little tentative about.
Right.
Like, so you can't play too aggressive against him.
Right. You
You
can't
play,
overcommit.
yeah, you do that, and that guy is going to take it to the house. So he has been monumentally important to the revival, and I think that's the key, Panther fans, is the revival of the special teams because the Panthers special teams for a long time was atrocious, and
Very much so.
it was to the point where we didn't even want to have to return punts.
Right.
I was scared every time we were returning a punt. And the list of bus guys that we tried to draft to be specifically punt returners and kickoff returners is long and undistinguished, if that's a word, undistinguished, less than, right? So
Right, for sure.
is that this guy, that's where he is important. So here, all right, if he's that good on offense on the special teams, can he really be that bad as a receiver? And if he's not that bad, and say I'm giving him too hard of a time, he isn't what no Panther fan is going to say I will be happy if Ted Ginn does the same next year as a receiver. They
Right.
won't be happy with that. They will want to see some improvement, and not probably not just a little improvement, but a big improvement if he gets a deal. So what can Ted Ginn be, Joey, as a receiver?
Um, if, if he can improve his consistency with catching the ball, really has some serious potential. I mean, it's hard to say that. He's been in the league 7 years, I want to say.
Yes, it's been a long time.
So you would think we've seen the best he has to offer, and perhaps we have, but if he can just get consistency in his game, he could be a real weapon on the offense. He's dangerous in the return game, no doubt about that. Offensively, he could really be a factor if he can get some consistency in his
But why is he not? Seriously, he was healthy all year this year.
He was. He was.
He was with a team that he's been with he was with the best quarterback he's played with so far. And I will
Yes.
stick with that because Colin Kaepernick, he didn't play with him. He probably didn't even see one play with him. And Cam Newton, greater than Colin Kaepernick. So he's been with the best guy. Like, well, shouldn't have he broken out a little bit as a receiver last year, Joey? Or did he? Was that his breakout?
He. Mm, I think he did have his best year production wise offensively.
Yeah, he did. Oh,
Um,
that's clear. So that's the breakout, or is that just him getting a sea legs as a receiver 7 years in
that
the league?
that might be him finally catching up. I mean, we know he's not a good receiver. He is a passable receiver who can occasionally make a really good play. Um,
He never was
but
great as a receiver, even.
no,
Where was he
he
from?
was
Ohio State?
Ohio State. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
drafted for his return ability.
Right. Okay, so here though, I know he's been sidelined, and look, our boy Big Q over at Team Boy TV Turbo is gonna be mad at me because I know he thinks I'm way too hard on Ted Ginn, but um, and I'm not gonna let up, Big Q. So here it goes. How much of this has been injury problems and the movement from team to team? I cannot be sure of. Is that he was drafted high. Was he first round?
He was I think the number 7 pick the
Oh
year he
my
was
lord.
drafted.
My dear lord.
Yes,
Um so
yes.
yeah, so Miami for a couple of years. I think he even made some. I don't know if I think he made decent money because that was back before. That was way before the new rules. So he made
Right.
money coming out of college, and then he's a journeyman. He goes to the 49ers. Nothing there. They cut him because he wasn't a good receiver, and they did not need him necessarily in he wasn't all around a roster spot. He takes a big roster spot if he's not going to play as a
On the
receiver.
offense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but here's the thing: is he comes here, and I think he did make a lot out of this moment, this opportunity. He at least made himself a viable player again in the league this year, particularly by getting on the field in special teams. But this is why, Joey, I'm a little concerned that it wasn't the movement and it's not the injury problems that he's had in the past, but it's his inability as or his lack of ability, should I say, as a real true receiver at heart. He had blown and squandered opportunities this year, Joey,
Hmm.
in the deep game. And if he can't be the deep threat, we can then he's not even doing what his like the one wild card thing about him he is.
Right. He's not using his speed, which is what his biggest asset is as a player.
Yeah, his biggest asset is that, and he wasn't able to capitalize, I feel like, enough on that. And I think the one, and this is where I probably reinforce my, I'm not on the Ted Ginn bandwagon, is that in the Saints game in New Orleans, we were down. It was one of those first, how we had to settle for field goals twice right in the first quarter, and we were just dominating them right off the bat.
Yeah.
Is that we were down on the goal line, and they ran a play, and when the guy chipped him at the line or got up on the line, I mean, he knocked Ted
Knocked him
Ginn to the
down.
ground,
Yeah.
and that was like, dude. I mean, maybe you got caught off a little, or your footing, but that's not the play to do it, dude.
Right.
So that to me was just another example of what Ted Ginn, to me, I felt like he squandered too many opportunities. Now, this is the thing, Joey, is that special team revival has meant a lot to us, and it's meant a lot to the team.
Right. Field position.
Yeah, that is a valuable thing. So if we try to, do we try to bring him back is my question. And I don't think we can just sign him, LaFell, then also go out and maybe even be a player in free agency. If we did that, if we signed him, LaFell, and then tried to go into free agency, that wouldn't happen. If we signed him, LaFell, we would probably not try to invest so much. We would, in the draft, you'd probably see us move from a wide receiver from the first to the second round, maybe, because you've paid him at least 2 years. He's going to want 2 or 3 years, you would think.
Right.
At
Right.
least 2 years. He already did the 1 year thing and was important. So, given that, you got to pick between LaFell and Ginn. Who do you go with?
I think as a team, looking at the totality of this team, you would have to go again because of the value that he has in the return game and special teams.
I agree. Is that Big Q? This is for you. Big Q. Listen, is that Tony Dunn from Cat Chronicles wants Ted Ginn back reluctantly, not as a receiver. Here's the thing: is Ted Ginn has got to be the number 3 receiver, and
Right.
that is it. He should not be. If you want him to be any more than that, and you can't have two number threes.
No.
I mean, so I think I'd rather have Ted Ginn over LaFell. That's what I'm gonna say. I don't necessarily want Ted Ginn back. I don't want to have to go after him. But I would prefer him over LaFell because of his contribution on special teams. So, Cat Chronicles, I think we're going to have to say when it comes to Ted Ginn Jr., we're going to sign him.
Sign him.
So, and look, I say that not even, I'm barely excited. Because he's going to cost a little bit. I mean, he's not going to
Right.
be cheap. That's the thing, is that he's not going to be super expensive, but he's not going to take it for the bare minimum. He's going to try to
Right.
get a little bit out of it, and probably same with LaFell. So, okay, next up, Cat Chronicles free agent.